So Liberian journalists also went through the range of fire in media practice, served in public relations. We also have Honorable Nav Bleji. He's the Deputy Minister for Technical Services. He manages the New Liberia newspaper, the production of the magazine. He got oversight responsibility on motion picture. Former Minister Councilor, former senior reporter of Front Page Africa. So the ministry is rich. And then the man who also formerly managed the New Liberia newspaper uninterruptedly, the Deputy Minister for Technical Services then, now the Deputy for Press and Public Affairs. He has the opportunity to serve in two capacities here by the honor of the President. I have the most senior honor to invite on the national podium the youngest Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs, the government spokesperson, Honorable Daniel Salo. Every day, come from again, try to inflate the credentials. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to my colleagues on the high table. It is always a pleasure to be back at the Ministry of Information. It is always a pleasure to mount this sacred podium to speak to all of you, members of the press, to speak to our dear people, our country, talking about the position of the Liberian government on issues, giving you updates on unfolding development across the country, locally, and on the international scene. It's always a pleasing duty. Last week we had the privilege of representing the government of Liberia through this ministry at a very important event. The regional conference on information integrity in West Africa and the Sahel was held in the island nation of Cabo Verde. And we're there to represent the government of Liberia. Why was the conference organized? The conference was organized because leaders across the West African region have come to the realization that disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech pose potential threat to democracies and governance around the world. And so UNESCO, jointly working with the government of Cape Verde, organized our conference. And the work you do here was the topical issues. The emergence of new media and how new media has shifted the media landscape around the world and how people are using new media to spread disinformation, misinformation, and hate messages against other people. So at our conference, we deliberated, the policies adopted, the policy will be communicated to the government of Liberia, and action will be taken. As I have always said to you, the work you do is supported by the government, but sometimes there's a need for content moderation because the trend that events have now taken suggest that if we don't place emphasis on information integrity, content regulation, and moderation, somebody will use their cell phone to spark chaos that will lead to destruction of lives and property. Already there are instances where people use their social media blogs to spread hate messages. I've been following, there's a Liberian lady who is now she's been trending on the internet. I don't know her. I wish to see her in person. She's a victim of bullying, internet bullying. And I see Liberians are reaching out to her, which is good. To every good innovation, there's a bad side. Of course, social media is good. New media is good, not just social media. I'm sitting behind the podium in this room, and thousands of people are following what I'm saying about through the means of your various social media feeds. I'm using it for good reason. There are others who will use it for bad reason. And so, the information that we seek to disseminate is not void of integrity. If you have a news blog, you want to write your story, you want to do any publication, there's no doubt there has to be some truth about what you want to write. It should not be about hate messages. Let it just be about what you have passion for, which is journalism. So we are in sympathy with that young lady, and we want to commend those who have reached out to her to identify with her. It's good. So we are back. Now we'll continue from where we stopped. The press conference was ongoing while I was away. Minister Piah is in the building. He will join us later on, but he's attending to other matters. So we'll continue with the press briefing. The other day we announced here that the Liberian embassy in Brussels was working out the modality to organize the EU-Liberia Business Forum. So all of the modalities have been worked out, and we are pleased to announce that the government of Liberia, in partnership with the European Union, has set a date for the hosting of the Liberia-EU Business Forum 2026. The forum will be held in Brussels from the 24th to the 25th of February 2026. It will be held on the theme, the acts in the arrest, invest in Liberia 2026. The Liberia EU Business Forum 2026 is more than an investment event. It is a gateway to building sustainable partnerships that foster growth, innovation, and resilience in Liberia. The forum will highlight investment opportunities within Liberia's arrest agenda for inclusive development, a 5-year strategic plan that is driving inclusive growth to set Liberia on the path towards middle income status. The arrest agenda focuses on agriculture, roads, rule of law, education, sanitation, trade, and tourism. Opening various avenues for foreign direct investment and partnership. Over 2 days, the forum will feature high-level plenary sections, investment showcasing Liberia's potential and networking events. The forum will bring together Liberian and EU policymakers, investors, business leaders, and members of the Liberian diaspora, creating a dynamic platform for strategic dialogue, technical exchange, and concrete deal-making opportunities. We are following the effort by the government. You know, accountability is one of the pillars of this government. So the LACC has been doing a lot, and as part of our job, we always follow these entities of government, follow their activities to have an insight of what they are doing, so that we can be better positioned to communicate very effectively on behalf of the government of Liberia. So the LACC has concluded investigation. And the next step there is to go to the court for indictment. So the LACC has secured more indictments to prosecute several local government officials in Bapolu and Lofa County, in Bapolu, and senior officials of the Lofa County University. I read that again. The LACC has secured more indictments to prosecute several local government officials in Bapolu County and senior officials from the Lofa County University. In Bapolu County, the indictment has to do with the Bapolu yellow machine procurement process. The LACC announced that the 16th Judicial Circuit has returned a true bill on all counts of indictment against several county officials in connection with the procurement and management of heavy-duty equipment, commonly referred to as the yellow machine. After the indictment, writ of arrests have been issued and served on the following individuals: Sam K. Zina, former superintendent, Bapolu County; J. Kaya Sa, former superintendent, Bapolu County; Anthony Yoko, former fiscal superintendent, Bapolu County; Robert Bender, former chairperson, Bapolu Project Committee. The charges stem from the alleged acts of corruption, abuse of public resources related to the acquisition and handling of machineries intended for the county development. The indictment is a result of an extensive investigation carried out by the LACC and reflects the government's commitment to ensuring accountability and transparency in public service. On the individuals from the Lofa County University, the LACC confirms that the 10th Judicial Circuit Court in Lofa County has indicted Dr. Isaac P. Patmo, president of the Lofa County University, along with former president Dr. Samuel Ngama and several former senior officials of the institutions. For what? Alleged involvement in acts of massive corruption. The indictment issued on Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025, is based on evidence provided by the LACC following a comprehensive investigation into financial irregularities totaling approximately $410,000 US and Liberian dollars $13.3 million. The individuals indicted from the Lofa University include, I have a full list here: Dr. R.C.P. Patmo, President; Dr. Stephen K. Ngama, former President; Mr. Katawi, Vice President for Administration; Mr. Victor Patmo, Board Chair; Madam Annie Flomo, Co-Chair of the Board; Mr. Anthony C. Creton, Administrative Assistant; Mr. Peter C. Taylor, former Controller; Mr. Vamuya Kane, Aliu Kamara, Mr. Amara Sharif. According to the LCC, the charges include economic sabotage, theft of property, mismanagement of entrusted property, criminal conspiracy, conflict of interest, and abuse of office for private gain. The indictment highlights several financial malpractices, including that the accused officials authorize and disburse public funds without documentation or work performed. Notably, a retreat budgeted at US $3,350 was never held, yet a check was issued in the name of Madam Flomo with no record of reimbursement to the University Finance Office. The LACC says the action of a defendant violates provisions of the Public Financial Management Law, the National Code of Conduct for Public Officials, and the Penal Code of Liberia. The health sector remains an area of interest to the administration, and so efforts are being made every now and then when these foreign trips are made by the president, officials of government, to make the case. But even beyond going out there making the case, the government by itself is making some expenditure in the sector. So the government of Liberia has procured several state-of-the-art X-ray machines to strengthen the country's diagnostic capacity and improve healthcare delivery across health facilities in the country. The machines, which are currently housed at the Central Medical Store near Monrovia, will soon be distributed to major hospitals nationwide. The newly acquired equipment includes, the specification is here, but the procurement of these machines marks a great effort in the government's drive to decentralize specialized healthcare services and provide timely, accurate diagnostic support to patients. We continue to observe improvement in the way certain sectors in the country have been managed since the inception of the government. And don't forget, upon the inception of this government, the price of petroleum was very high. At some point, we experienced acute shortage of the products, and it led to people standing in long lines across the country. It paralyzed economic activities, and the entire country came to a standstill. The LPRC and the Ministry of Commerce have been working assiduously well, not just to regulate the price of petroleum products, but to also ensure that the prices are reduced to an appreciable level that makes life easier for our people. So on yesterday, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, in close consultation with the LPRC, announced new ceiling prices for petroleum products on the Liberian market. The prices were adjusted as follows. As per the adjustment, the price of fuel has been reduced by 10 cents, while the price of gasoline has also been reduced by 7 cents. This means that the retail price for a gallon of gasoline, is now $4.02, or its US dollar equivalent, $805. On the other hand, the retail price for the gallon of fuel has been reduced to $4.05, to $4.33, or its equivalent in Liberian dollar, $865. So while all these development issues are ongoing across the country, there are attempts by some of our friends to continuously paint a negative and distorted picture of the unfoldings in the country. And we follow comments attributed to follow comments attributed to the former Solicitor General of the country, Mr. Simmons Sevenian Cephas, to the effect that the living condition in the country is worsening and that Liberians are suffering and that the country is in hardship, hunger, and economic paralysis. Now, prior to this statement, the former Solicitor General had been somewhat balanced in what he says about the country. So, as we have always indicated, we are open to criticism. And we have been following what Mr. Cephas has been saying on the radio, social media, and other platforms. But we just want to respectfully disagree with his assertion. Nobody needs to lecture you about what is happening in the country. So, for example, he said the living condition in the country is worsening. Liberians are suffering. The country is sinking to hardship. His description of the situation in the country is unfounded and untrue. Take for example, how do you know that the level of wood in the country has increased? The living condition in the country, how do you know that it has increased? Is it not by a verifiable access to basic social services? And you all have seen that LEC, for example, I used to be Christmas light under their regime, is now so regular. As soon as you be posting on Facebook, say, carry your level one again. But still, Mr. Cephas will want the world to believe that the country is sinking in hardship. Under their regime, and I hate to make this comparison, but sometimes when they say this, then we have to compare. People stood in long lines. They had the money, but they couldn't find paper rest to buy. You got the views. Maybe you need to help us to remind the former Solicitor General. So we respectfully disagree with him. His description of the situation is far-fetched. When people were standing in line, they could not find bag of rice. That was economic destitution. You plunged the country in a state of economic destitution. Today, what President Piah and his government has done is to what? Reduce the price of the bag of rice from $16.50 to what? $14. Yet, Mr. Sifa says the country is sinking. LWC conducting new communities every day. The provision of basic social services. Yet, Mr. Sifa will have you believe that the country is sinking. Civil servants, 28,000 civil servants receive salary top-ups to address what they call harmonization. It's a gradual process. 28,000 civil servants. Police officers that were constrained to split their salary to carry the children to hospital are now receiving insurance coverage. 5,000 of them. Yet, Mr. Sifa believes that the country is sinking. Beyond the salary top-up for civil servants in the critical sector, look at the overall condition. When they were here, they credited 83 million for the bank to pay salary for the last 3 months of the administration. Today, this government has to pay back that money to the bank. When you heard the finance minister talk about some 16 million to central bank, that was what he's talking about. They pay in phases. So not only that the government has made civil servant salary current, but the government is also paying their debt. Yet, Mr. Sifa believes that the country is sinking in paralysis. Look at the overall situation where we find ourselves. On the international stage, from sanction, shame, disgrace, isolation, neglect, on the high table, elected at the apex of global decision making, the UN Security Council. So people believe the country is sinking. Just yesterday, the Ministry of Finance announced that Liberia is among some 86 countries recommended by the MCC to the US Congress for a possible compact. From sanction to compact. Yet, Mr. Sifa believes the country is sinking. On the 22nd of September, the team from the US will be here. They're not coming to bluff. They're coming to speak with the government, work with the government, development partners, private sector actors, to identify possible sectors for MCC support. Can't you see the visible sign of progress? They use a ride helicopter and parachute aircraft to go to the southeast. Today, in the heart of the rainy season, you take 6 hours from Monrovia to the southeast. So these kind of criticisms are just deceptive. Because as I have always maintained that there's no parallel between what they did here 6 years ago and what we are doing here. So we beg to differ with the former Solicitor General. Of course. I know people are now taking advantage of the atmosphere. Things that never happened here 6 years ago. Some people who were never talking, they would not talk because the death squad were at a trouble. You know what happened to auditors. You know what happened to critics. Gone are those days. You now have a serious government managing the affairs of the country. And so, yes, criticism is good. And like I said, he made some good points before which we agree with, but on this one, we beg to differ. The country is on an upward trajectory. An attempt to paint a negative and distorted picture. I just want to say it. Also to Mr. Simon Fremont, aka Christmas Man, Monsignor. He knows everything. At some point, he was on the radio suggesting that the government should shut down all of the border patrol points around the country, recall all the officers. I mean, just repeal the eye creating the security sector and say we can man the border point with camera. But DSTV can stand small ring. During the days of LA, he was the loudest critic, speaking out against the administration. But guess what happened on the days of the former president? Where he became taciturn. Became a dumb bobo. Couldn't say anything. You know why? Because of fear for his life. Fear for his life. So once there's a change in administration and you see things going smoothly, we want to abuse the space. So they go to the radio talking blah, 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 profess to know everything. But someone that got very appalling business record. Because we pull all the files, the records are very appalling. The only Liberian politician, I'm not too sure that he's actually one considering the number that he got in election. Go on the radio, drag him away on $450,000 wage. And you turn the ministry press conference at Luston. You got no government experience. The only place you ever work is with DSTV. When we do an assessment of DSTV across Africa, consolidated group is established there. Liberia is the only country in West Africa who have consolidated group office. What they doing here, get subscribing. You follow what happened in Ghana. The Ministry of Information insisted that they had to drop their prices. So you got no relevant governmental experience. And you think what we're doing here every day is loose talk, according to you. But the place where you specialize in providing DSTV, the moment the cloud get dark, DSTV promo. Very poor service. Even though the right to information is enshrined within the Constitution, and Liberia has moved to a height instrument like the Abdullah Kamara Act for Press Freedom, which makes information, the right access to information, embedded. But the minister believes that, Monsignor believes that doing so is a waste of public resources. Though he's enjoying that right. Because if the government decides, okay, say the man say information dissemination is a waste of public resources, they should shut down the Ministry of Information. Who will accredit all of the press-related institutions in the country? Who gave them permit to operate? Who vets? So, in this statement, he made a statement when I was in the place there attending the conference on information integrity. These are the people who want to misuse the digital space to mislead the population. During the days of former President Salif, like I said, he was one of the loudest critics. But he's very thin-skinned. Minister Piah made a comment and the man took offense. So he got a lawyer. Minister Piah got his lawyer. And when they called for the conference, the lawyer told him, he said, look, my man, that kid that you go to court for, the man got vexed. He said, oh, they told me the man had another senior brother, you don't go my case. And from the day Senior Fremont left that place, Mr. Piah had never seen him again. Now he come to say that what we do here is a waste of time. But I'd like to remind Mr. Simeon Mosiga Fremont, and he is Christmas man, Mosiga. Care very little about the things he said. It will not distract us from informing the Liberian people about what the government is doing. Have you seen the level of outrage against effort by the government to communicate? You see people go on a platform, okay, they say, class view, where do you want class below there? But I'm a mature adult. I come to work 7 o'clock in the morning. When I close my office, I decide to go on a show to talk about the government. How does it hurt you? He said, we shouldn't go on class below to talk. We should sit down, with our hands folded, so they can manufacture the lies against the government, and the people can believe what they are saying. That's what they want. If that was not a true intent, they wouldn't be getting angry. The press briefing when we came here was once a week. But today we have it twice on a weekly basis, which have proved to be very effective. We added additional layers, the government town hall, and other radio talk shows around the country. This, we believe, is the best way we can adequately inform the Liberian people about the initiatives, the activities of the government, because the people deserve to know. The National Investment Commission and the Turkish Business Board have signed an MOU. Towards implementing economic diplomacy, the government of Liberia on Saturday, 6 September 2025, through the National Investment Commission, NRC, and the Foreign Economic Relations Board of Turkey, signed a historic memorandum of understanding at the Liberia Chamber of Commerce in Monrovia. The agreement formally establishes the Turkish Liberia Business Council, a platform designed to strengthen trade and investment ties between Liberia and Turkey, foster business-to-business collaboration, and open new pathways for joint ventures and partnership across priority sectors. The MOU was signed by Mr. Melvin Sharif, the Executive Director of the National Investment Commission, and Mr. Siman Family, President of the Turkish Liberia Business Council, signed. A milestone in Liberia-Turkey relations, the Turkey-Liberia Business Council is expected to serve as a platform for structural cooperation, encouraging private sector partnership in mining, energy, agriculture, finance, and emerging industries such as health and technology, promoting trade expansion and investment flow, facilitating technology and knowledge transfer between Liberia and Turkey businesses, supporting sustained B2B matchmaking and investor aftercare. Partnership and drive group. The signing of this MOU reflects Liberia's growing appeal for a destination for investment on the government's arrest agenda for inclusive development. They also highlight the important role of partnership, including the World Bank, through the LIFT projects, the IFC, and the Liberia Chamber of Commerce, in supporting reforms and strengthening Liberia's business climate and unlocking opportunities for private sector investment. Looking ahead, with the Turkey-Liberia Business Council now established, the National Investment Commission will work closely with its Turkey counterpart, relevant ministries, and Liberia business community to ensure that the framework translates into tangible results. The progress will be on building joint ventures, financing projects, creating jobs, and ensuring long-term sustainable economic growth. The NRC reaffirms its commitment to facilitating and supporting investors as Liberia deepens its partnership and positions itself within regional and global markets. So I initially talked about the MCC, firstly, but I want to throw light on it. So Liberia, along with 86 other countries, has been qualified by the Benevolent Challenge Corporation as candidate countries. The candidate country report presented to the U.S. Congress in accordance with Section 608A of the Benevolent Challenge Act of 2003, authorizes the provision of assistance through the Benevolent Challenge Corporation for countries that enter into a Benevolent Challenge Compact with the United States to support policy and programs that advance the progress of such countries to achieve lasting economic growth. Liberia's candidacy stature is a substantial international validation of the Piah administration development trajectory, which will help attract additional donors, private sector investment, and technical assistance aligned with the Benevolent Challenge Corporation objective. The countries that are candidate countries for fiscal year 2026 are based on their per capita income levels and their eligibility to receive assistance under U.S. law, and countries that will be candidate countries, but for specified legal prohibitions on assistance, Section 608A of the Act. Some of the countries that qualify as candidate countries include Liberia, Afghanistan, Algeria, Togo, South Africa, Angola, Benin, and Sierra Leone, among others. However, some of the countries that were considered ineligible to receive U.S. economic assistance include Burkina Faso, Ghana, Eritrea, Mali, Guinea. Some of the political people would say, oh, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Liberia qualified. They say Ghana and your Burkina Faso don't qualify to receive it. You sit in your country, you don't appreciate the things that are happening. And every day you want to make this wild argument, go Burkina Faso. The country has had its own taste of military leadership. But some people say that I don't know where. The places you compare your country with and see those places better than the country, people there running every day. Haven't you heard that tens of thousands of Burkinabe are in the forest there? So if the country was so beautiful, man falling from heaven, what are they doing here? We got to stop it. The designation of Liberia as a candidate country means that we are eligible to potentially enter a Benevolent Challenge Compact with the United States. If a second compact is negotiated and approved for Liberia, we are expected to receive funding to invest in priority sectors identified as bottlenecks to growth. Example, infrastructure, agriculture, governance, human capital, electricity. Based on the assessment that we invest in either of these sectors. As a government, our goal is to catalyze economic expansion and reduce poverty. Meanwhile, a team, the NCC, will arrive in Liberia on September 22nd to work with the government, private sector actors, and development partners to identify possible sectors for MCC support. So prior to his departure, His Excellency, the President issued a presidential directive mandating property tax compliance, not just for everybody in the country, but for public officials. This action is a further manifestation of the President's determination to run a government based on accountability and transparency. Of course, property tax is one area where we are lacking behind. So the President is saying to get this started, before we go to the other level, who got horses, who got property, say pay taxes, those who are in government should pay your taxes. So the President has issued a presidential directive requiring all appointed public officials, directors, and male-level managers to immediately settle their outstanding real property tax obligations in line with the National Code of Conduct and the Liberia Revenue Code. The directive emphasizes that all officials must pay all outstanding property taxes for privately owned properties, settle tax obligations for fiscal year 2025, clear arrears from previous years, or enter into a binding payment agreement with the Liberia Revenue Authority. Obtain and submit a valid tax clearance or tax certificate within 60 days. The deadline for full compliance is October 31st, 2025. The LRA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, the Civil Service, the directive further mandates the LRA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, the Civil Service Agency, and the Bureau of State-Owned Enterprises to oversee the verification enforcement. Failure to comply will constitute a violation of the National Code of Conduct and the Revenue Code, attracting penalties including interest charges, salary deductions, withholding of benefits, and other sanctions as prescribed by law. President Piah further encouraged members of the legislature and judiciary to demonstrate equal accountability by ensuring their assets are free of incumbency, including unpaid taxes, and by submitting their tax clearance certificate to their respective secretariat. So, I'm not talking about those in the legislature and judiciary. But if in the executive you think this mandate, this directive is a joke, ask the people who were suspended for not declaring their assets. We have a compliance date, October 31st, 2025. So on that note, I will pause and we entertain questions if there are any. And so Piah is here. If there is something you want to add, you also add it.
From Liberia, I call you. You. James.
Yes, sir.
You following John Boué to RIA?
No, I'm not with him, but
By the way, you start changing your dress code after the event. You be a special assistant. No, firstly, I just wanted to be on the record to say congratulations to Mr. Sam Steve Piah, who have been named by President Piah as the